Look, I am not what you would call a pessimist. I prefer the term realistic survival strategist. And realistically speaking, when Commander Threx announced we would be completing our final Academy evaluation on Kelmar 3, I knew exactly three things with absolute certainty. 1, we were all going to die. 2, it would be slow, painful, and involve things with too many teeth. 3, somehow the human would probably survive just to make the rest of us look bad. My name is Vec K, and I am a third-cycle cadet in the Galactic Union Defense Academy. Or I was. Past tense feels more appropriate when you are about to be deposited on a planet that has a mortality classification of, are you completely insane? Let me paint you a picture here. The Galactic Union categorizes planets on a threat scale from Class 1, which basically means kindergarten playground with extra oxygen, all the way up to Class 10, which translates to this planet is actively trying to kill you from orbit and will probably succeed. Kelmar 3 is a Class 3 Deathworld. That rating does not sound too bad until you learn that 98% of known sapient species cannot survive unassisted on anything above Class 2. Kelmar 3 has an atmospheric pressure that will make your organs feel like they are being hugged by a gravitational anomaly. The local fauna thinks everything is food, especially other local fauna. Oh, and did I mention the storms? Because there are storms. Big ones. The kind that pick up boulders and throw them around like a toddler having a tantrum. So naturally, this is where the Academy decided to test us. Attention cadets, Commander Threx announced, all 7 of his eye stalks focused on the datapad in his primary manipulator. Threx is a Hexian, which means he looks like someone combined a slug, an octopus, and a very angry middle management consultant. You will be divided into 5 teams of 4. Each team will be dropped in a separate zone on Kelmar 3. Your objective is simple. Survive 72 hours and reach the extraction point located at coordinates that will be transmitted to your squad leader's communicator. Simple. He actually used the word simple. Sir called out Prax, a Zentari whose scales were already turning that pale blue color they get when Zentaris are stressed. What equipment will we be provided? Standard survival kit. Threx replied without looking up. 1 medkit, 1 emergency beacon for genuine life-threatening situations only, 1 water filtration unit, and 1 protein synthesizer. Oh, and your wits. Try not to lose those first. I heard someone whimper. Pretty sure it was me. Team assignments are now displayed on your datapads. You have 30 minutes to meet your team and board your designated drop ship. Dismissed. I pulled up my datapad with trembling appendages. Team 7. Squad leader, Vec K. Oh, fantastic. I get to be the one everyone blames when we all die. Squad members, Kara, species Felorian. Dome, species Kratosian. Tyler Grant, species human. I read that last one 3 times. Human. We had a human. Now, let me explain something about humans. They showed up in the galactic community about 40 cycles ago, and they have been a continuous source of confusion and mild terror ever since. See, Earth is classified as a Class 7 Deathworld. Class 7. That is the kind of planet where the water is poisonous to most species, the local predators hunt in packs with sophisticated strategies, and the dominant species evolved by literally out-stubborning everything else on the planet. Humans are basically walking contradictions. They are fragile, they will die if you shoot them, but they also do things like recreational mountain climbing and hot pepper eating contests and camping for fun. They have flooded their own entertainment networks with something called fail videos, which is just recordings of humans doing stupid things and hurting themselves while other humans laugh. They are insane, but they are also weirdly effective at not dying. I found my team at the designated hangar bay. Kara was easy to spot, her bioluminescent patches flickering anxious yellow patterns across her translucent skin. Felorians are amphibious and absolutely delightful people. But they come from a Class 1 garden world where the most dangerous thing is apparently a fruit that gives you mild indigestion. Dome stood next to her, nearly twice her height, with the characteristic rock-like exterior of a Cretosian. His people evolved on a high-gravity world, which makes them incredibly strong but also incredibly slow to react. Dome was probably the most capable fighter among us, assuming the fight lasted longer than 3 seconds. And then there was the human. Tyler Grant was leaning against a storage container, eating something from a small bag. He looked up as I approached, and I got my first good look at a human in person. They are shorter than media depictions suggested, or maybe that was just this one. Dark hair, dark eyes, skin a medium brown tone, and that characteristic forward-facing binocular vision that marked them as a predator species. He was wearing the standard Academy jumpsuit, but he had modified it. The sleeves were torn off. Torn. Off, exposing what humans call arms, which were covered in strange markings. Tattoos, I remembered. Humans intentionally damage their skin for decorative purposes. "Hey," he said, raising one hand in what I recognized as a human greeting gesture. "You must be Vekak. Squad leader, right? Cool, cool. Nice to meet you, man." Man. That is what humans call each other, regardless of actual gender. I still do not understand it. "Yes," I managed to say, trying to assert some kind of authority. "I am Vekak. We should review the mission parameters and develop a survival strategy before we drop." Tyler nodded, shoving another handful of whatever he was eating into his mouth. "Sure thing. So, we are going to Kelmar 3, right? For 3 days?" "Correct. It is classified as a Class 3 Deathworld with extreme survival conditions and hostile megafauna." "Oh, sweet." He grinned, which showed his teeth. Lots of teeth. Humans have an alarming number of teeth, so basically like spring break, but with less beer. I stared at him. Kara made a small distressed sound. Dome said, "What is spring break?" "It is a human cultural tradition," I explained slowly, "where they travel to dangerous locations and engage in risky behavior for recreation." "Exactly." Tyler seemed pleased that I understood. "I mean, Class 3 is not that bad, right? Earth is Class 7. This is like easy mode?" "Easy mode." I felt something inside me break. Just a little bit. "The mortality rate for non-adapted species on Kelmar 3 exceeds 60%, I said carefully. "Yeah, but that is not us, right?" Tyler crumpled up his empty bag and somehow made it vanish into one of his many pockets. "We are Academy trained. We got this. What could go wrong?" Everything, I thought. Literally everything. But what I said was right. "Let us board the drop ship." The drop ship was exactly as uncomfortable as I expected. We strapped ourselves into the crash harnesses while the pilot, a bored-looking Avix with feathers that had seen better days, ran through the pre-flight checks. "So what is the plan?" Tyler asked, seemingly unaffected by the fact that we were about to be thrown out of a perfectly functional spacecraft into a planet that wanted us dead. "Survive," I said flatly. "Yeah, but what is the strategy?" I pulled up the mission data on my datapad. "We will be dropped in Zone 7, which is a temperate forest region. Current environmental scans show moderate rainfall, temperatures ranging from 15 to 30 degrees Celsius, and confirmed presence of multiple predator species including Kelmar stalkers, which are 6-legged ambush predators weighing approximately 400 kilograms. "Oh, like big cats," Tyler said. "I do not know what cats are. Ambush predators. Wait until you are not looking, then jump on you and try to eat your face." "Yes, exactly like that, except these have razor-sharp crystalline formations growing from their spines that they can launch as projectiles." "Metal," Tyler said, which I assumed was an expression of approval because humans make no sense. Kara raised one delicate hand. "Should we not establish a defensive position immediately upon landing and remain there until extraction?" It was not a bad strategy, honestly. Conservative, but survival is often about being conservative. "That could work," I admitted. "Find a defensible location, set up a perimeter, wait it out." "Boring," Tyler announced. "We should go for the extraction point early." Dome's rocky brow plates furrowed. "The extraction point is 80 kilometers away. rockets through hostile territory. In 3 days. Right, so if we move fast, we could be there in like, what, 2 days? Then we chill for the rest of the time. Move fast, I repeated. Through a death world, where everything wants to kill us. I mean, when you say it like that, it sounds bad. It is bad. The pilot's voice crackled over the intercom. Approaching drop zone. Prepare for deployment in 60 seconds. My stomach, which was not where humans keep their stomach but serves a similar function, clenched into a knot. Listen, Tyler said, and his voice had shifted from casual to something almost serious. I get it. You guys are nervous? But honestly, I have been camping in places way worse than this. You know what we are going to do? We are going to stick together, watch each other's backs, and treat this like what it is. A test, not a death sentence, yeah? There was something in the way he said it. Confidence, maybe. Not arrogance. Just this absolute certainty that everything would be fine. I wanted to believe him. The problem was, I had read the statistics. 10 seconds, the pilot announced. We all gripped our harnesses tighter. Except Tyler, who was checking his boot laces for some reason. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop. The floor disappeared. That is the only way to describe it. One moment we were in a ship. The next we were falling through atmosphere at speeds that made my entire species' evolutionary history scream in protest. The drop pods deployed, wrapping around us in protective shells that did absolutely nothing to make this experience less terrifying. I could see through the pod's transparent section as we plummeted toward Kelmar 3. The planet looked beautiful from up here, all green and blue and completely lying about how much it wanted to murder us. Woo! Came Tyler's voice over the comm system. This is awesome. We are going to die, Kara wailed. Statistically unlikely. Dulm rumbled, though he sounded uncertain. The pods deployed retro thrusters at what felt like the last possible second, slowing our descent from certain death to merely life-threatening. We hit the ground hard enough to make my teeth rattle, assuming I had teeth, which I do not, but the sentiment stands. For a moment, everything was quiet except for my own respiratory system working overtime. Then the pods opened. The smell hit me first. Organic, wet, alive. Earth's atmosphere is supposed to smell like this, according to the humans. It smelled like decay and growth and predators and prey all mixed together into something that made every instinct I had screamed get back in the pod. But I am a professional. I am a cadet. I am a squad leader. So I unbuckled my harness and stepped out into the death world. The forest around us was dense. Trees, if you could call them that, stretched up toward the sky with trunks wider than our drop pods. The canopy above was so thick that only scattered beams of sunlight made it through, creating this strange twilight effect. Everything was some shade of green or brown or both. Vegetation covered every surface, fighting for space and resources in a constant biological war. It was humid, very humid. I could feel moisture condensing on my exoskeleton already. Okay, I said, trying to project calm authority. Everyone check your equipment. We need to take stock of our supplies and establish a defensive perimeter. On it, Dome rumbled, already pulling out the supply crate from his pod. Kara emerged from her pod looking like she might bolt at any second, her bioluminescent patches flickering rapid orange distress signals. Tyler hopped out of his pod, looked around, and stretched. Actually stretched, like this was some kind of morning exercise routine. Oh yeah, he said, breathing deeply. This is nice. Good oxygen content. Of the humidity. This is like perfect. Perfect for things that want to eat us, I muttered. Circle of life, man. We gathered around the supply crate. Standard equipment, as promised. Medkit, beacon, water filter, protein synthesizer. 4 days of compressed rations, just in case. Basic tools, fire starter, thermal blankets. A single multi-purpose blade that was supposed to serve as weapon, tool, and probably back scratcher if we got desperate. So Tyler said, looking at the equipment with an expression I could not quite read. No weapons? The knife, I pointed out. Right, one knife. For 4 people. On a death world. The Academy wants to test our survival skills, not our combat prowess. Aha! Tyler bent down and picked up a fallen branch about as thick as his arm. He tested its weight, nodded to himself, and then snapped it over his knee. Just snapped it. Like it was nothing. There we go, he said, now holding a makeshift club. Always bring a backup. Kara watched this display with wide eyes. Did you just break a tree? Branch. And, yeah, humans have pretty good grip strength. Perks of being from a heavy gravity world with manual dexterity. Your planet has heavier gravity than this, she asked. B? Little bit, yeah. I checked my datapad. The extraction point is northeast, approximately 80 kilometers. We have 3 days. If we maintain a steady pace of roughly 27 kilometers per day, we can reach it in time. 27 kilometers per day, Dome said slowly, through this terrain, while avoiding predators. I did not say it would be easy. So we are going for it, Tyler asked, sounding hopeful. I looked at my team. Kara, who looked terrified. Dome, who looked resigned. Tyler, who looked excited. We vote, I decided. Who wants to move toward extraction early versus establishing a defensive camp here? Move, Tyler said immediately. What camp? Kara said just as fast. Dome considered for a moment. I vote move. Sitting still means we need to defend one position for 3 days. Moving means we are harder to track. That is not how predator behavior works, Kara protested. On your world, maybe, Dome countered. On mine, the stationary prey gets eaten first. They both looked at me. Great. Tiebreaker. I looked around at the forest. Already I could hear sounds. Calls of creatures I could not identify. Rustling in the underbrush that might be wind or might be something with teeth. The longer we stayed here, the more likely something would investigate the noise of our landing. We move, I said. But carefully. We maintain noise discipline, we watch each other's backs, and at the first sign of serious danger, we reassess. Works for me, Tyler said, shouldering his pack with disturbing ease. We set off northeast, using the datapad's navigation system to guide us. Tyler insisted on taking point, which I allowed because honestly, if something was going to jump out of the bushes, better it get the human first. That sounds terrible, but humans are supposed to be good at not dying. Probably. But the forest was dense, which meant slow going. We had to push through vegetation that seemed personally offended by our presence. Vines grabbed at our packs. Thorns caught on our equipment. Something that looked like moss but moved on its own tried to attach itself to Dome's leg before he scraped it off with a growl. Stay alert, I called back to the team. Watch for movement. Got it, Tyler confirmed from the front. He was using his stick to push branches aside, moving with a confidence that seemed misplaced given our circumstances. We had been walking for maybe an hour when Tyler suddenly froze. Stop, he whispered. We all stopped immediately. What is it? I asked, trying to see past him. Shh. He held up one hand, fingers spread. A human gesture meaning silence. His head was tilted slightly, eyes scanning the forest ahead. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then I heard it. A low clicking sound, rhythmic and mechanical. Except nothing mechanical should be making that sound here. Stalker, Tyler breathed. 9 o'clock, behind that big trunk. See the crystalline ridges? I looked where he indicated. At first, I saw nothing. Then my eyes adjusted and I realized what I thought was part of the tree was actually something else. Something big. Something with 6 legs and a body covered in mottled fur that shifted colors to match its surroundings. A Kelmar stalker. It had not seen us yet. Or it was pretending not to see us. Ambush predators are good at that. Back away slowly, I whispered. Do not run. Do not make sudden movements. We started to retreat, one careful step at a time. The stalker's head turned toward us. Multiple eyes, arranged in a pattern that gave it nearly 360-degree vision fixed on our group. The clicking sound intensified. "Oh, that is not good," Tyler muttered. "That is definitely not good." "What? What does the clicking mean?" Kara asked, her voice high with panic. "It means," Tyler said slowly, "that there are probably more of them. They are pack hunters." As if to confirm his statement, 2 more stalkers emerged from the underbrush on either side of us. Then a 4th appeared behind us, cutting off our retreat. We were surrounded. "Okay," Tyler said, his voice suddenly very calm. "Okay, new plan. Everybody get close together. Back-to-back formation. Veke, you are the tallest, you watch overhead. Dome, you are the strongest, you are rear guard. Kara, stay in the middle. I have got the front." "They are going to kill us," Kara whimpered. "Not if we do not let them," Tyler replied. He raised his makeshift club, and I noticed his stance had changed. Lower center of gravity, weight balanced, ready to move in any direction. The lead stalker took a step forward. Then another. The clicking grew louder, now coming from all 4 of them in a coordinated pattern. "When they charge," Tyler said quietly, "aim for the eyes. They have got armor everywhere else, but the eyes are vulnerable. Dome, can you lift heavy?" "Yes." "Good. When I say now, pick up that rock next to your foot and throw it at the one behind us. It does not matter if you hit it, just need to break their coordination." "This is insane," I heard myself say. "Yeah," Tyler agreed. "But we are doing it anyway. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Now." Dome grabbed the rock, which must have weighed 50 kilograms, and hurled it like a missile. It struck the rear stalker square in the face with a sickening crunch. The creature screamed, a sound like tearing metal. And then everything went absolutely crazy. The stalker that Dome hit went down hard, thrashing in the undergrowth. Its packmates turned their attention toward it for exactly 1 second, which was apparently all Tyler needed. He moved. I do not mean he ran or attacked or did anything I expected. He moved like violence had a physical form and he was its favorite student. The club came down on the nearest stalker's foreleg joint with a crack that echoed through the forest. The creature yelped, stumbling sideways. "Go!" Tyler shouted. "Northeast. Run." We ran. Here is a fun fact about adrenaline. Most species have some version of it, a chemical response to danger that temporarily enhances physical capabilities. Phalorians get faster. Cretosians get stronger. My species gets better cognitive processing, which is great for solving puzzles but terrible for not being eaten. Humans get everything at once. Speed, strength, pain tolerance, and apparently the complete suppression of common sense. Tyler was not running with us. He was behind us, and I could hear him hitting things. Actually fighting. Multiple stalkers were clicking and snarling, and there were impacts and crashes and that horrible sound of crystalline spikes being launched. "We have to help him." Kara gasped as we ran. "He told us to run." I shouted back. "Veke is correct," Dome rumbled, his heavy footfalls shaking the ground. "The human combat doctrine prioritizes tactical retreat when outnumbered. He is buying us time. He is going to die." "Probably not," came Tyler's voice from behind us, closer than expected. "We keep moving. They are following." I risked a glance back. Tyler was running now, club still in hand, and behind him came 3 stalkers in full pursuit. The 4th was apparently still down. Blood, human blood, was running down Tyler's left arm from a gash in his shoulder, but he did not seem to notice or care. Left. Hard left. I called out, seeing a break in the trees. We veered left into a clearing, and immediately I knew we had made a mistake. The ground here was softer, wetter. A marsh. We splashed through ankle-deep water that smelled like sulfur and decomposition. "Keep going." Tyler was right behind us now. "Do not stop in the water. We are sitting targets." Something exploded out of the marsh to our right. It was not a stalker. Something else. something with way too many teeth arranged in concentric circles like some kind of nightmare flower. A Kelmar marsh lurker, my brain helpfully supplied, which can grow up to 8 meters long and swallow prey whole. "Oh, come on," Tyler yelled at it. "Seriously? What is this? A theme park?" The lurker lunged at Kara, jaws wide. Dome was faster. His massive rocky hand grabbed the creature by what might have been its throat and squeezed. The lurker thrashed wildly, its tail whipping around and catching Dome across the chest with enough force to make him grunt. But Dome held on and squeezed harder. There was a crunch. The lurker went limp. "Nice," Tyler said, then spun around to face the 3 stalkers that had followed us into the marsh. They had stopped at the water's edge, clicking at each other in what sounded like a debate. They do not like the water, I realized. The lurkers are here. The stalkers know it. "So we are safe?" Kara asked hopefully. As if in answer, something much larger than the lurker we had just killed began to surface behind us. I saw a ridge of spines breaking the water, each one as tall as I was. "Nope," I said. "Not safe. Move." We scrambled out of the marsh on the far side, filthy and gasping. The stalkers watched us go but did not follow. Whatever was in that water, they wanted no part of it. We kept running until the marsh was far behind us, until my respiratory system was screaming for mercy, until even Dome was showing signs of fatigue. Finally, Tyler called a halt. "Okay," he panted, leaning against a tree. "Okay, that was fun." "Fun?" Kara collapsed onto the ground, her bioluminescent patches flashing colors I had never seen before. "We were almost eaten. Multiple times. By multiple things. But we were not eaten," Tyler pointed out. "That is what counts." He looked down at his arm, seemed to notice the blood for the first time, and shrugged. "Ah. That is gonna need stitches." "You are injured," I said, pulling out the med kit with shaking hands. "Just a scratch. One of those crystal spike things grazed me. I have had worse." "You have had worse than being impaled by a Deathworld predator?" "Dude, I once crashed a dirt bike into a barbed wire fence." "This is nothing." I did not know what a dirt bike was, and I was afraid to ask. The medkit contained basic supplies: antiseptic, gel, wound sealant, pressure bandages. I cleaned Tyler's wound while he sat there casually eating another one of his mysterious snacks from his pocket. The gash was deep, easily requiring medical attention, but he barely flinched as I worked. "Your pain tolerance is disturbing," I told him. "Endorphins, buddy. Plus, shock. I will probably feel this tomorrow and regret everything." "That is not reassuring." "Not trying to be reassuring, just being honest." Once Tyler was bandaged, we took stock of our situation. We had covered maybe 5 kilometers in our panicked flight, which meant we still had 75 to go. We had used some of our water already. Kara was exhausted. Dome had a cracked chest plate from the lurker's tail, and we had been on the planet for less than 3 hours. "So," Tyler said brightly, "that went pretty well." "Pretty well?" I stared at him. "We were attacked by predators, ran through a marsh full of monsters, and you got stabbed." "Yeah, but we all survived. That is a win in my book." He stood up, testing his injured arm. "We should keep moving. Put some distance between us and those stalkers in case they decide to track us." "We need to rest," Kara protested weakly. "We will rest when we find a defensible position. This spot is too open." I hated that he was right. We moved on, this time more carefully. Tyler was still on point, but now Dome walked beside him, using his superior strength to clear a path through the denser vegetation. Kara and I followed, watching our flanks and rear. The forest changed as we traveled. The trees became larger, older, with massive root systems that created natural shelters underneath. The canopy grew thicker, blocking out more light. It was getting darker, and I realized with mounting dread that night was approaching. A night on a Deathworld. when the nocturnal predators came out. "We need to find shelter," I announced. "Before dark." There, Tyler pointed to a cluster of enormous trees ahead. Their roots had grown together into a tangled mass that created cave-like spaces underneath. "We can set up camp in there. Good visibility, multiple escape routes, elevated position. Classic defensive spot." We made our way to the root structure and began setting up camp. Dome used his strength to move some fallen logs into position as a basic barricade. Kara activated the water filtration unit and began processing water from a nearby stream. Tyler set about gathering firewood, moving through the forest like he had done this 1,000 times before. "Should we risk a fire?" I asked when he returned with an armload of dry branches. "It might attract predators." "It might," Tyler agreed, "but it will also keep some of them away. Most animals do not like fire. Plus, we need heat. Temperature is going to drop once the sun goes down, and Kara is cold-blooded. She needs warmth or she will go into torpor." I looked at Kara, who was indeed shivering slightly despite the ambient humidity. He was right again. Annoyingly. Tyler built the fire with practiced efficiency, using the starter from the kit but arranging the wood in a structure that would burn slowly and produce minimal smoke. As the flames caught and grew, I felt a small measure of comfort. Fire was one of those universal things. Almost every sapient species had discovered it, used it, been changed by it. We ate our first meal on Kelmar 3 huddled around that fire. Pressed rations that tasted like recycled cardboard mixed with synthetic proteins, but calories were calories were calories. Tyler supplemented his with something he called beef jerky, which he claimed was dried meat from Earth. It smelled disturbingly good. "So," Kara said quietly, her patches glowing softer orange in the firelight. "Thank you. For earlier. You saved us." Tyler shrugged with his good shoulder. "We are a team. That is what teams do." "You fought 4 stalkers alone," Dome pointed out. "That was exceptionally brave or exceptionally foolish. A little bit of both, probably." Tyler poked at the fire with a stick. "My dad was military. He taught me that sometimes you have to fight so others can run. Buy time, create distance, live to fight another day. Basic tactics." "Your father taught you to fight Deathworld predators?" I asked. "Well, my father taught me to fight, period. The predators are just target practice." We fell into silence for a while, listening to the sounds of the forest at night. And oh, what sounds they were. Howls and screeches and clicking and buzzing and 1,000 other noises that all translated to dangerous things happening nearby. "How are we doing on time?" Dome asked eventually. I checked the datapad. "We have covered approximately 8 kilometers today. If we maintain this pace, we will reach the extraction point in approximately 9 days. "We have 3 days, Kara said flatly. "I am aware." "So we need to move faster," Tyler said. "Tomorrow we push harder. Cover at least 30 kilometers. That will put us roughly on schedule." 30 kilometers through this? I gestured at the dark forest beyond our fire. "Yup." "That is impossible. Only if we believe it is." Tyler lay back, using his pack as a pillow. "Get some sleep, everyone. I will take first watch. 4 hours each. Kara, you are second. Dome third. That KQ get the dawn shift." "You should not take first watch with that injury," I protested. "I am fine. Plus, I am used to functioning on minimal sleep. It comes with the territory." He picked up his club and moved to a position where he could see the approaches to our camp. "Sleep. We have a long day tomorrow." I wanted to argue, but exhaustion was hitting me hard. The adrenaline crash combined with the physical exertion had drained my energy reserves completely. But I found a relatively comfortable spot near the fire and let my eyes close. I woke to Kara's hand on my shoulder and sunlight filtering through the canopy above. "Your watch," she whispered. Nothing happened overnight. Few sounds. Some movement in the distance. But Tyler says that is normal. I nodded and took up the watch position. Tyler was asleep by the fire, his injured arm tucked close to his body. Dome was also sleeping, his chest rising and falling with the slow rhythm of Cretosian rest cycles. The forest in early morning was beautiful in a terrifying way. Mist rose from the ground, creating ghostly shapes between the trees. The sounds had changed from night predators to day creatures. Birds, or things like birds, called out in the distance. Insects, or things like insects, buzzed through the air. Something moved at the edge of my vision. I turned quickly, club ready. A small creature, maybe the size of my hand, scurried across a branch. It looked at me with far too many eyes, chittered something that might have been a threat or a greeting, and disappeared into the foliage. Not everything wanted to kill us. That was good to remember. Tyler woke exactly 4 hours after falling asleep, no alarm needed. He sat up, stretched carefully to avoid pulling his injury, and came over to where I sat. "Morning," he said quietly. "See anything interesting?" Small creature, many eyes, non-threatening. Probably a scout species. They look for food sources, report back to the colony. Best to avoid their nests. How do you know that? Read the mission briefing files about 15 times. He could not sleep the night before the drop, so I memorized everything I could about Kelmar 3. He grinned. I am a huge nerd about this stuff. You memorized ecological data about a planet you had never visited? Yeah, seemed like it might be useful. And hey, look at that, it is. We woke the others and ate a quick breakfast. Tyler changed his bandage, and I was relieved to see the wound looked clean with no signs of infection. Human immune systems are apparently as stubborn as the rest of them. All right, team, I said, trying to project confidence I did not feel. Today we need to cover 30 kilometers minimum. That means we move fast, we move smart, and we do not take unnecessary risks. Everyone understand? 3 nods. Good. Dome, you are on point with Tyler. Kara, stay in the middle. I will watch our rear. Standard formation. Let us move out. The second day was harder than the first. The terrain became more challenging with steep hills and rocky outcroppings that forced us to detour repeatedly. We crossed 3 more streams, each one a potential ambush point. We saw signs of predators everywhere, claw marks on trees, bones scattered in clearings, the remains of something large that had been eaten by something larger. But we moved fast. Tyler set a brutal pace, and somehow we managed to keep up. Even Kara, who had seemed so fragile yesterday, found reserves of strength I had not expected. Valorians might be from a garden world, but they were tougher than they looked. Around midday, we stumbled upon something unexpected. A structure. Not natural. Someone had built this. It was crude, just logs and mud formed into a rough shelter, but it was clearly artificial and recent. The mud was still damp. "Someone else is here," Kara whispered. Another team, I realized. From the academy. They must have been dropped nearby. We approached cautiously. The shelter was empty, abandoned in what looked like a hurry. Supplies were scattered around. A broken data pad, torn medical supplies, and blood. A lot of blood. Oh no, Kara breathed. Tyler was examining the scene with professional detachment. He touched the blood, rubbed it between his fingers. Still tacky. This happened maybe 6 hours ago. Whatever hit them, it hit them fast. Should we activate our emergency beacon? Kara asked. To warn the others? And tell everyone we failed the test? Dome countered. The beacon is for life-threatening situations only. This is life-threatening. We do not know what happened here, I said, trying to think clearly despite the rising panic. They might have moved on. They might have been extracted early. We cannot assume the worst. The blood suggests otherwise, Tyler said quietly. He stood up, looked around the clearing. But Veke is right. We need to keep moving. Standing here helps no one. We left the abandoned camp behind, but it changed the mood of our group. Before, this had been difficult but manageable. A test, a challenge. Now it felt real. People had been hurt, maybe killed, by something on this planet. We pushed harder, covering ground faster than should have been possible. Tyler was limping slightly now, his injury clearly bothering him more than he let on. Dome's cracked chest plate was leaking lubricating fluid, which meant his internal systems were working harder to compensate. And Kara was flagging, her movements becoming slower. I was running on pure determination and stubbornness. By the time we stopped for the night, my datapad showed we had covered 32 kilometers. We were ahead of schedule. But we were also exhausted, injured, and thoroughly demoralized by what we had found. We made camp in another root hollow, this one smaller but more enclosed. Tyler built the fire again while I distributed rations. We ate in silence, too tired for conversation. "One more day," Tyler said finally. "We can do this. One more day and we are home free." "Assuming we do not get eaten," Kara muttered. "We have not been eaten yet." The key word being yet. Tyler smiled at her, and despite everything, she smiled back. Humans had that effect. That weird ability to remain optimistic even when everything was objectively terrible. We divided up the watch again. I took the second shift this time, which meant I got to experience the joys of Kelmar 3 at peak midnight hours. The sounds were different. Louder, more aggressive. Things were hunting out there, and they were not being subtle about it. Something big passed near our camp around hour 3 of my watch. I saw its shadow moving between the trees, massive and quadrupedal, with glowing eyes that reflected our firelight. It paused, sniffed the air, and then moved on. I did not breathe until it was gone. When dawn came, we were all awake despite the watch schedule. None of us could sleep anymore. We were too close to the end, too aware of what failure meant. 43 kilometers to go, I announced, checking the datapad. If we push hard, we can be there by nightfall. Then we push hard, Dome said, determination evident in his gravelly voice. And we set out at first light, moving faster than ever before. Pain and exhaustion were distant concepts. We had entered that strange state where the body shuts down non-essential functions and diverts everything to survival. My species calls it crisis mode. Humans call it adrenaline rush. The forest began to thin as we approached the extraction point. The trees became smaller, more spread out. The terrain flattened into rolling grasslands dotted with rocky outcroppings. It was more exposed, which made me nervous, but it also meant faster travel. 10 kilometers, I called out as we crested a hill. We are close. There, Tyler pointed ahead. In the distance, I could see it. A clearing with artificial lights. The extraction point. Salvation. We started to run. Actual running. Not the controlled jog we had been maintaining. Raw, desperate sprinting towards safety. Which, of course, is when things went wrong. The ground beneath us exploded upward. Not from an underground predator. From an underground nest. Thousands of insect-like creatures, each one the size of my fist, poured out of newly opened tunnels. They had translucent wings, segmented bodies, and mandibles that clicked with aggressive intent. Swarmers. The file had mentioned them. Territorial insects that attacked anything that disturbed their colonies. Run. Tyler screamed and we ran. The swarm came after us like a living wave. They were fast. Faster than we were. I felt the first few land on my back, mandibles trying to find purchase on my exoskeleton. Kara shrieked as a dozen attached to her suit. Dome swatted at them with his massive hands, crushing dozens, but more kept coming. Tyler pulled something from his pocket, a small cylinder. He twisted the top, dropped it behind us, and shouted, "Do not breathe this." The cylinder began spewing thick white smoke. The swarmers hit the smoke cloud and immediately started dropping from the air, their wings gummed up by whatever chemical Tyler had released. What was that? I gasped as we kept running. Improvised bug spray. Used the fire starter fuel. Might violate several Academy regulations. Do not care. Keep running. We burst out of the grasslands and into the clearing. The extraction point was right there, a raised platform with scanners and a communication beacon. Safety. Success. We stumbled onto the platform, gasping and wheezing. The scanners came online automatically, registering our presence. Congratulations, came Commander Threx's voice from a speaker. You have successfully completed the survival evaluation. Extraction shuttle will arrive in 10 minutes. Please stand by. We collapsed onto the platform. Kara was crying with relief. Dome was leaking fluids from multiple cracks in his armor. Tyler's bandage was soaked through with blood. I was pretty sure several of my internal organs had shifted position, but we had made it. 73 hours and 12 minutes, I said, checking the time. We beat the deadline by almost a full day. Of course we did, Tyler said, lying flat on his back and staring at the sky. Told you we could do it. You realize we almost died approximately 47 times? I pointed out. Approximately, he agreed. But almost does not count. We are alive. That is what matters. The extraction shuttle arrived exactly 10 minutes later, descending from the sky like a mechanical angel. The ramp extended, and medical personnel rushed out to check on us. You kids did good, one of them said, scanning Dome's injuries. Real good. You are one of only 3 teams to make it to extraction ahead of schedule. What happened to the others? Kara asked quietly. The medic's expression darkened. 2 teams used their emergency beacons within the first day. They are fine, just extracted early. 1 team missed the deadline, but made it to a fallback extraction point. And 1 team. She paused. We are still looking for them. The abandoned camp. The blood. My suspicion confirmed. They will find them, Tyler said firmly. The Academy always does. They have tracking systems, search drones, the works. Those cadets will be okay. I hoped he was right. We boarded the shuttle and strapped in for the flight back to the Academy ship. As Kelmar 3 fell away beneath us, I looked at my team. Kara, exhausted but triumphant. Dome, damaged but unbowed. Tyler, bleeding and grinning like this, had been the best vacation of his life. Hey Veke, Tyler said as we broke atmosphere. You did good. You kept us together, made the tough calls, got us through. You are a solid squad leader. I did not do much, I admitted. You fought the predators. Dome provided the strength. Kara kept morale up. Leadership is not about doing everything yourself. It is about making sure everyone does their part. You did that. He extended his hand in that human gesture. Good job, man. I grasped his hand carefully. Humans have a firm handshake. It is a sign of respect. Thank you, I said, for not letting us give up, for believing we could make it. That is what humans do, he replied. We are too stubborn to quit. When we docked with the Academy ship, Commander Threx was waiting. All 7 of his eye stalks focused on us as we disembarked. Team 7, he said formally. You are the first team to return, and you completed the course in record time. Impressive, especially given the difficulty rating of your drop zone. His eye stalk swiveled to examine each of us. Though I note you all sustained injuries, that will be reflected in your performance evaluation. With respect, Commander, I said, surprising myself with my boldness. We survived a Class 3 Deathworld for 73 hours and reached extraction ahead of schedule despite multiple hostile encounters. A few injuries seemed like a reasonable trade-off. Threx's mandibles clicked in what might have been approval. Indeed. You are dismissed to medical for treatment. The briefing will be tomorrow. Well done, cadets. In the medical bay, they patched us up properly. Tyler needed 17 stitches in his shoulder. Dome required extensive repairs to his chest plating. Kara had numerous scratches and bruises. I had apparently strained 3 different muscle groups, and was suffering from mild dehydration. We were going to be sore for a week. But we had passed. Later, after the medics released us, we gathered in the common area. Other cadets were arriving back from their own drops, each with stories of survival and close calls. The team they were still searching for was found 6 hours later, alive but requiring extensive medical treatment after their shelter collapsed during a storm. Everyone made it, some barely. But everyone? So Tyler said, looking at the three of us. Same time next year? If there is a next year evaluation, I am requesting a Class 1 world, Kara announced, with no predators, and comfortable temperatures, and maybe a spa. That sounds amazing, I agreed. Boring, Tyler countered. Where is the adventure? There is adventure, and then there is attempted suicide by planet, I pointed out. I prefer survival with less mortal terror. You say that now, but give it a few weeks. You will miss it. The challenge. The adrenaline. The feeling of pushing yourself to the absolute limit and coming out on top. No, I will not. Tyler grinned. Yes, you will? And the terrible thing? The absolutely horrifying thing? He was probably right. Because despite everything, despite the fear and pain and near-death experiences, there was a tiny part of me that felt alive in a way I never had before. That felt accomplished. That felt proud. Humans called this feeling post-traumatic growth. I called it concerning. But as I sat there with my team, sharing stories and laughing about the things that had tried to kill us, I realized something. We were not just cadets anymore. We were a unit. A team that had survived something most species would not even attempt. And if we could survive Kelmar 3, we could probably survive anything the galaxy threw at us. Hey Veke, Tyler said, interrupting my thoughts. You know what we should do? What? I asked warily. Volunteer for advanced training on a Class 4 world next cycle. Absolutely not. Come on, it will be fun. No. No. Educational? Still no. Character building? I looked at him. At that ridiculous human optimism and utter lack of self-preservation instinct. And I sighed. Ask me again after I have slept for 48 straight hours, I said. Tyler's grin widened. I will take that as a maybe. It is not a maybe. Sure sounds like one. Kara giggled. Dome made a rumbling sound that might have been laughter. And despite everything, I found myself smiling too. Because if you cannot laugh about nearly being eaten by a Deathworld, what can you laugh about? Welcome to the Galactic Union Defense Academy, where humans will drag you into situations no reasonable being would attempt, and somehow you will survive and thank them for it later. Class 3 Deathworld? For a human, that was apparently just spring break. For the rest of us, it was the most terrifying, exhausting educational experience of our lives. And I would not trade it for anything. Well, maybe for a safer assignment next time. But probably not. Humans are contagious like that.